Welcome to the May 2025 meeting of the Annapolis Education Commission. I can't believe we're almost to the end of the school year here. We were just talking about the schools doing their senior walks this year, which is when the seniors go back to visit their elementary school in their caps and gowns. And what a great tradition it is, and how glad we are that it seems to slowly be spreading throughout all of the elementary schools. But we're in a graduation kind of state of mind. So before we get to our agenda, I just would like to acknowledge Jess Packler could not be here this evening, so I am your vice chair and I am stepping in to chair the meeting tonight. But Jess's son Sam is a senior this year and he is graduating. Corey, would you like to tell us about your daughter?
Um, my daughter is Tennessee Johnson, and she will be graduating this year as well with Sam. And it's been a wonderful journey. It's been a wonderful journey. I'm so appreciative to Anne Arundel County Public School System.
Corey, can you get closer to whatever microphone you have? Because I can only hear some of the words you're saying. Or
Yeah, you're
turn
kind
the
of
volume up or something.
Hold on. How about now? Can you hear me now?
That's better.
a little better, yeah.
Yes, my daughter Tennessee Johnson, she's graduating as well with Sam, and I'm very appreciative to the Anne Arundel County Public School System. It's been a wonderful journey. Um, she's been able to do everything that she wanted to do in the curriculum and at school, and it's been amazing. I'm so grateful.
Yay.
That's awesome. Well, we are celebrating our seniors. Congratulations to the seniors and to their parents for 18 years of hard work.
That's right.
Yeah, congratulations, Corey and Jess.
And
All
also,
right.
I say that my daughter, she also received a scholarship from Maryland State Senator Shanika Henson.
From
So
scholarship from where? Morgan State?
Shanika Henson.
Shanika Henson, Senator Henson State
okay,
Scholarship.
that's good.
Excellent.
that's great news. Congratulations. Well, she worked very hard, so that's awesome. That is great news. All right, let's start real quick and we'll do a roll call to have folks introduce themselves, or I think, let's see who we got. Let's see. Fish is not here. I do not see Jamie. Enid, you're up.
I'm here, Enid Lee, past president, Bates, Mills Parole, 41 years as a teacher in the county, and longtime commission member.
Wonderful. Thank you, Enid. All right, so yeah, Enid is Ward 4, Ward 3. Ward 4 is Tara. Is she here? Yes, there she
I'm
is.
here. Hey. Are we just saying what we do?
Just introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Tara Wells. I am an educator of 18 years, and I currently teach math at Bowie High School. And this is my first year on the commission. I'm excited. So, good evening, everyone.
We are happy to have you here. So, all right, Ward 5 is India. She is also not here this evening. Her son is doing his end of the year theater production in Apex. Ward 6 is Corey.
Hi, my name is Corey Mackle. I have two kids in the Annapolis cluster. One is a graduating senior this year, and another one, she graduates tomorrow in 2027. And this is my second year on the committee.
Corey also serves as our secretary and takes care of our minutes, so thank you for that, Corey. All right, Ward 7 is me, Laura Booth. I am the parent of a 2021 graduate from AHI and the mom of a almost sophomore.
Mhm.
Right. Ward 8 is Jess, and she is not here. So our at-large members, Janet.
Janet Norman and at-large member 2021 and 2018 Annapolis High graduates, 2025 college graduate of my youngest. So I am going to be graduating from the commission with my youngest. And it's been a wonderful 13, 14-year ride with the Education Commission, but I feel like it's time to make room for other young, talented people coming on to give their energy.
Wonderful. All right. And Pam Bukowski. Where are I? Okay, you are there. Can't find it. Okay.
Pam Bukowski, I'm a retired speech language pathologist from Anne Arundel County. I have 6 kids who attended the schools. My youngest graduated 15 years ago in 2010. And all of my children were well prepared for college. And I've been a long-term member of the commission as well as Zenith.
All right. Odessa.
Good evening. I retired from Annapolis High School after 18 years of substitute teaching, and I have 3 adult children, 3 adult, I guess, children who graduated from Annapolis High, and it's been a journey. So I'm thankful.
Very nice.
Wonderful. And Grace.
Well, good evening, everyone. It's a rainy afternoon or rainy night, but that's okay. I am a former educator for Anne Arundel County Public School. Retired as a guidance counselor for 22 years, and the other years, 23 years, whatever, tells up at taught school. And I stayed in the system for 47 years. Wow.
That's awesome.
I never thought I would do that, but I did what I had to do. There it is.
Well, and we appreciate you for it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Right. All right. Did I get everybody? All right. Well, thank you all for coming this evening. As I said, Jess is out this evening, so you're stuck with me. Sorry. But thank you all for coming. Let's see. Let me flash up here the agenda. All right, so our agenda for this evening is pretty short and sweet. We have the approval of the minutes from the April 23rd meeting, which was sent out with the agenda. I know it went out late, so if you guys want, I can put that up on the screen and we can go through it that way. I don't think we have any public testimony. We did not receive any via email, and I don't think there's anyone waiting in the wings. Dr. Tobin is going to join us this evening to give us an update. We haven't seen her in a couple of months just because the scheduling hasn't worked out. So I'm glad that she's going to be able to attend. However, she said she would be here later. She said probably about 7:15. So I think we may actually, if she's not here by the time we get to it, we'll scoot her to the end and do unfinished and new business first. And then we have some simple unfinished business, just kind of go through a couple of things. And actually, these are questions we may direct to Joanna. And then our new business commission vacancies. We know that Janet is stepping down, and I believe Jamie Weaver is also stepping down. So we will have some vacancies. So if you know folks who are interested in serving on the Education Commission, if there are other parents or people that you know through our schools who are interested in the state of education, the state of public education in the city of Annapolis, let us know. And then we will talk about our elections. We will have our elections next month. So that's on here too.
Mm-hmm.
So are there any other additions or, whoops?
Just a suggestion that Jamie's from the Germantown Elementary District. So that's Ward 2, if anyone is from Ward 2 that's interested. And my position was an at-large member, which you don't have to live within the confines of the city of Annapolis limits, and can still be in the Annapolis cluster schools. So yes, it'd be great to have new folks step up.
So,
Absolutely.
Jan, is Ward 2 by, no, you said Germantown? What?
Yeah,
Okay,
by the stadium and
Yeah.
oh, okay, I got
Annapolis,
you.
Admiral Heights.
Admiral Heights, that area.
Admiral Heights, I see. I got you. Thank you.
Mhm.
So does anybody have any changes to the agenda?
I move to adopt the agenda as presented.
Okay, and a second.
A second.
Thank you, Pam. All right, that is our agenda. All right, let me bring up the minutes from April, which Corey prepared and sent out. Thank you, Corey, for keeping us on track. And I have them up. Sorry, I'm having some computer issues today. And I had some, that's odd. My computer did not want to start, and then it apparently rebooted and closed all of the windows that I had helpfully and all the tabs that I had out ready to go.
Mhm.
It's no- Here we go. These are the minutes that from our April meeting. The minutes for our special session will be along, the special session on redistricting will be along next month. But scroll through this. I'm going to kind of scroll through it slowly. If you have any questions, concerns, changes, let us know and we will update them. Oops. Sorry.
Looks good.
Yep. All right. And then we had a bunch of different community events coming up.
Nice.
I'll make
All
a
right.
motion that the minutes be accepted with the correction of the two misspelled words.
Yeah, I just hang on, I'm gonna go back and fix the other one.
Tuition and
Yeah, thank you.
tuition and additional, what is it? Additional?
Additional, yeah.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay.
I second
it.
the motion.
All right. Any objections? No. All right. Minutes are approved. Let me change that to approved.
All in favor?
All right. Yeah, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. I need India here to keep me honest. All right, so we have no public testimony. Oh, Enid. You got your hand up.
Let's raise my hand to vote.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yay. All right. I don't think we have any public testimony. And Dr. Tobin will be joining us a little bit later. So if you don't mind skipping around a little bit, we talked about commission vacancies already. We've got our Ward 2 and an at-large position. Everyone else is re-upping for and no one else has decided not to renew your commission or your appointment.
Yeah, I got my appointment through the email. I've been reassigned for the next year.
All right.
It's a 3-year term, generally.
Oh, it's a three-year term?
Yeah.
Oh my
3-year
gosh,
term.
okay.
Wow.
But I mean, people have resigned in the middle of their
Oh,
term.
okay.
That's the term of appointment generally.
Oh, all right. Mm.
All right. So our the other thing that we have on the docket is elections for next year. So is anyone interested in running for our offices? All three offices, chair, vice chair, and secretary are up. So Corey's
It's
been doing.
It's
Mhm.
been 3 years. Jess was president. 3 years?
No, the executive offices rotate yearly, but your term as a commissioner is a 3-year appointment.
Well, is there anybody that's not willing to serve again?
Like I declined being renewed for appointment.
I understand. I'm talking about officers.
Yeah. I don't know. Jess has not committed to doing chair again for next year. I don't think. So, I think we need to
All open. Mhm.
wait for her. Yeah. So, I mean, technically all the positions are open. So if you are interested in serving as chair, let us know. Or vice chair or secretary if you are absolutely chomping at the bit for one of those offices.
Or if you could be convinced into doing it. It is, the model is there. It's not that difficult, but it is something we all need to serve in whatever capacity we can. So I encourage those to take a turn at it, and you get to learn and meet new people and do things and coordinate for us.
Interested in still being secretary, but if someone else wanted to do it, I would welcome that as well.
All right. That's good to hear.
Jess, all right. So if you are interested, you can send us an email at to the commission's email address, and throw your hat into the ring. And then next month, we'll also take nominations from the floor, and then we will conduct our election. And that will go into effect then for the August meeting, will be the first meeting of the new board, because we usually go along with the school year. And we will have a meeting in June for our elections, and wrap it, kind of our end of the year wrap up. And then typically we take July off because folks are traveling and whatnot. And then we will resume in August with the caveat that we need to schedule around back to school nights, which usually start in August. So sometimes the scheduling on that may be a little bit tricky. So we need to, and I don't think, has anybody heard that the school system has released, sometimes at the end of the year, they release their back to school events calendar, but I have not seen anything yet for this year. We will need to kind of keep an eye on that. All right, Jess sent me a couple. The other thing I realized that I did not put on here under new business was community announcements. And so if does anyone have any announcements that they wanted to share, information they wanted to share with us? I have a few things on
I have one.
Go ahead, Jen.
So this June 2nd is a Monday, and at Annapolis High, our federal representative for District 3, Representative Sarah Elfreth, is joining together with other military leaders and giving a service academy information night. And so anyone who wants to apply to seek a nomination to the Naval Academy, West Point, U.S. Air Force Academy, Merchant Marine Academy, should go to this information night and find out about it, even if so parents of juniors and their junior, sophomores, freshmen. It's a great resource for you to learn the process, because it's a multi-step process that you seek the nomination from your federal representative or senator, and then you also have to apply to the school. And they tell you lots of helpful information, and there's lots of different military leaders there to meet and talk to and learn about the different jobs listed that people do in the service. So I highly recommend anyone with somewhat interest to attend that with your student, or any supporting parents and guardians, supporting adults who want to take a student to that. And remember that, you don't always have to be these are engineering schools mainly, but you don't always have to be the physics major going to these schools. They have varsity teams in like 29 sports, that they're looking to fill that with someone who wants to serve their country. So if you are a talented, gymnast or marching band member or something else, that you have opportunities to serve also in that capacity. Monday, June 2nd, from 5 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. at Annapolis High. And if you have any questions about the process, I'm happy to help you with the process through academies or ROTC process.
All right.
So is that on the school site, Jane? That announcement?
It's probably not listed on the school calendar because it's not they're using the school, but it's a Senator Elfreth thing. It's listed. I shared it on the Annapolis High Community Facebook page that we tell
Right.
you about every month. And I will put it out on the Eastport Neighborhood Facebook page. There's a notice directly on Federal Representative Elfreth's Facebook page, her Instagram page, her other social medias. So I can send you that info.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Great. That's great. Thank you for sharing that, Janet.
Yeah. The Coast Guard, if you're applying for the Coast Guard Academy, that does not require a nomination. You apply directly to that school without a federal nomination.
All right. Does anybody else have anything else to share?
Well, I want to share something, but I'm not sure it's at the right time, but our former principal, Mr. Lilly, anybody
Don-
remember him?
Don Lilly.
Don Lilly? Right, he passed away.
Oh, okay.
Sorry to hear
Okay,
that.
and right, I think there's going to be a wake on Friday evening, and the funeral is going to be at Asbury Town. Asbury Town, Severna Park, Maryland.
Okay.
Hmm.
Thanks for sharing that.
Mhm.
Thank you for sharing.
Anybody remember him? I mean,
He was the principal right before Ms. Chittum, Principal
right.
Chittum. Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah,
Yeah, because
like
she was there. Trying to
for
think.
5 years. So
Okay.
he might have ended like 2014 or so, 2013, 14.
Yep.
Mhm.
I know. I'm sorry to hear that. That's sad news. All right. I have some other things that Jess, the first thing that Jess sent me is a reminder. If you have an Annapolis High School senior that they are selling yard signs and banners and things, but the deadline for that is tomorrow? No, by the 30th. Okay, so by Friday. It's through Annapolis Copy, the Annapolis Copy and Print. And then there is a link that we have provided. It's posted in the AHI community chat group, but we can also post it on the Education Commission group. So if you have a student there and you want to sign, get your order in. And then we had a few other community announcements. So let me see if I can share this guy.
Laura,
right.
I'll just
Go-
mention before you dive into that, that the community chat things you're talking about is off the Annapolis High Community Facebook page. There are Facebook Messenger groups for each year class. So the class of 2025 had a messenger group where parents and supporting adults could message each other with questions like, hey, what's the deadline for dropping classes? Or how do I get a yard sign? Or any of those other things. And so they have class groups for your student's year that you can join in addition to being on the regular Facebook page.
And if you're not super Facebook savvy, just ask in the regular group and we'll get you hooked up. Okay, let me share this guy. All right, so community events. Just wanted us to point this one out. They are having it says Tuesday and then it says May 29th. So that does not work. Tomorrow is Thursday, the 29th. But I believe that is the correct date. They're having a finance class and you know, about talking about budgeting and credit, how to manage your credit and savings and whatnot. And that's it. This is part of through the community schools program at Annapolis Middle School. So there is a link here with a not a UPC, what do you call that? QR code. So if you are interested in attending, there is like a Google form to sign up. And just wanted to make sure that we passed that along. There is if you have an 8th grader or if you have a high school student who has, you know, like a freshman that wants to find out more about sports and things at the school, there is an evening program, Meet the Coaches night at, on Monday, June 9th. At Annapolis High in the cafeteria. So they have a sort of an overview of the department, and then they'll have breakout sessions with the different coaches. So you can learn about all the sports, not just fall, but fall, winter, and spring. So, and they'll talk about tryouts and work and requirements for the, and I have not heard, have you heard anything about, I was going to ask Jessica, I'm so wishing she was here, about doing a clinic. Actually, I'm going to make myself a note here to ask to see if there's going to be a clinic for sports physical. I know in the past they've had clinics because the physicals have to be completed after June for participants in next year. I think it's June 1st.
Yeah.
You have to have a new physical after June 1st. So depending on when your kid's annual well visit is, you may need to have a second visit somewhere in there because it has to be, you have to have the physical and everything filled out and submitted after the 1st of June.
Mhm.
So in the past we've gotten some clinics set up so that folks can bring their kids in, which is nice because I mean, I know like our pediatrician charges, they'll charge for the office visit, but also even if you just have had a physical, just to get the paperwork filled out, there's usually a fee involved. So if we could get clinics, that will make it more accessible, but you need to sign up for the physical forms and things are available for download on the Annapolis Athletics website, which you can get you from the Annapolis High webpage. Just click on the link for athletics. And you'll need to set up a family ID account as well.
Mhm. So if you know of any students who want to potentially start sports next year, definitely send them to this and help people out. New parents don't know all the protocols, and it's a little bit, there is some bureaucracy involved that if you can spread the word and help people figure this out, that's very appreciated to get more kids able to participate in sports.
Yes. Indeed. All right. Okay, we have a scholarship for middle school students that must be postmarked by May 31st. Sorry, this is kind of a small font here. But we can send this out to anyone that has questions about this. But
7th to 8th grade students in public or private school, and there's money involved. First place,
yes,
$100, second place, $300, third place, $200, and fourth place, $100.
So yeah, so if you have a middle schooler who would be interested in submitting an essay for this, it's 1,200 words. That's doable. Come on, guys. All right. The rec center is continuing to do STEAM Challenge. The last Sunday of the month at the rec center from 1 to 3 for ages 10 through 14. Kids can learn about they have various fun STEM challenges for the kids to work on. And that's over at Pip Moyer. Let's see, youth field hockey camp. So you have a kid who's interested in playing field hockey. In addition to coaches night, they will have 5th through 9th grade, so middle school and to rising freshmen who are interested in playing girls field hockey. at A High. Oops, sorry. And
Say, Laura, on this
Yeah.
screen about finance night,
mhm.
is it Tuesday? Did it say May 29th?
Yeah, it says Tuesday the 29th, but 29th is tomorrow, so I think they meant Thursday. But I need to double check with that because Jess just sent me this link like right before I got online tonight. But I believe it's actually supposed to be Thursday and not Tuesday. Actually, you know what? Here, let me see because I do have the she sent me the Dragon Digest, which
And where is it going to be held?
it's at Annapolis Middle.
Oh, okay.
It says May 29th from 6 to 8. So it says Tuesday, but it's the 29th is Thursday. So it must be it says the 29th, so it must be Thursday. I wish that they don't have a school calendar. Yeah. Okay. So then this is the oops, I just lost it. The Office of Career, the ACPS Office of Career Coaching is offering a summer camp for 7th, 8th, and 9th graders. And there are 40 spots available at the South River camp, and that's July 7th through 10th. And it says transportation is available. So if you have a 7th, 8th, or 9th grader who is interested, they will provide a wide range of career and college readiness opportunities. So
That sounds great.
yeah, it does. This is really a cool program.
Robotics, yeah, health professions. So is it at South River or is it instead of
It says
Cat?
that it says South River. There's one at the first week it says is Cat North, and the second is South River.
Yeah.
The note in the Annapolis in the AMS digest said that South River camp has transportation available for students at Annapolis Middle. So just if you have a kid at Annapolis Middle who's interested, it says reach out to Ms. Torres or to your grade level counselor.
Mhm.
Well, what about my grandchild coming to visit me this summer?
You know what?
For
My
AACPS enrolled students only, I would think.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yep.
Yep.
To like them to
Because
do career exploration for what they can do later on in their high school AACPS career.
all right. That's a pretty good bargain though, for a 1 week.
It's
Yeah.
Free.
yeah, it should
And
be.
it looks like a lot of the things that are like the culinary arts, the skilled trades, health professions are things that are available at our CAT South and CAT North programs. So it also kind of gives middle schoolers a little bit of exposure because sometimes I think the kids don't necessarily know what all is available down there. And so we kind of need to, we've talked a lot about this in the past, but along with, career readiness is we need to make sure that our middle schoolers are aware of what things opportunities are available to them in high school, to make sure that they are. I know we've talked about kids not being able to get into the CAT programs because they don't have high enough grades in math or things like that. So kind of get them to keep their eye on the prize in the distance, so they understand why, even though algebra isn't the most fun and exciting thing in the world. Why they need.
Can you tell me who to contact? I don't see. I want to share this information, but I don't see where
It says kids at AMS should contact their grade level guidance counselor.
at AMS.
Or it says Ms. Torres here, and let me see. Does it have her?
Yeah, but
Yeah, I think she's in the school. Let me see if I can bring up the school. Oops.
Do you know how many students are in how many seats available?
40.
In
It
each?
said there are 40.
40? That's pretty good. Okay.
Ooh. Thanks. Sorry. Let me see if I can figure out where. Sorry. I wish Jess was here because she would know instantly who Miss Torres is. Guessing she is our. No, I don't even see her on here. It just says Miss Torres, but I don't see her listed on the, I would just say have them contact their guidance counselor is probably the best plan for that. But yeah, that is a great program. And since it's through AACPS, we can also contact the, the Office of CCR, career coaching. I don't know what the R is. But I'm sure we could also contact them. They may have more information. Let me see. Okay, so they have we have a whole page on career coaching at the AACPS website. And they talk about, here we go. Let me actually see if I can share this instead. Stop share and share something new. So on the AACPS website, they have a whole page on career coaching. And this is all part of the blueprint because one of the pillars of the blueprint was career readiness, career preparation. So they apparently, I guess this is a new department, but I know the Anne Arundel Workforce Development has been, they have sort of like in conjunction with community college has that new workforce development facilities at the community college. So I guess they're all sort of part and parcel between the community college and our CAT programs. And really, we should be doing this at all of our schools. But anyway, they have information out here. So if you are interested in learning more about this, this is on the AACPS website. And I just searched on career coaching. But down here, they also, oops. They also talk. They have high school and middle school, and in the middle school they do have. This is Stephanie Torres Castillo is the Annapolis middle contact. So she would be the person that you would contact with questions if you have Annapolis. But I would imagine if your student attends like Bates, for example. Yeah, Bates. Oh, they don't have anybody. There's nobody listed. All right. I would contact her if you have information, but looks like all of the schools should have somebody there who is filling that role. So if you have questions, that would be the person too. We need to find out who it is for Bates. All right. Let me go back over to our things. We can get through this real quick. Share. All right. And let's see what else. Is there anything else here that we were sharing? Yes. No. Okay. Maryland Hall, I think mentioned this last time, but they have a lot of summer camps. The school system isn't doing, in the past, they had the ESSER funds that they used to pay for AACPS, used to pay for summer camps. Those funds have expired. So some of the AACPS camps are looking a little different this year. Maryland Hall is offering a lot of the same camps that they offered to students that way. These have a fee attached, but they do have a tuition assistance program. So they have asked us to promote this. If you have a student who is interested in one of these camps, but funding would be, tuition presents a hurdle. scan this link, and there's a whole application process that you can go through, and you need like some sort of a reference from any adult in your community who basically says that you are, serious about this and that you will show up if you are awarded the funds. But anyway, there are a lot of really, really cool summer camps at Maryland Hall that you can take advantage of. Play Annapolis is also having some summer sports leagues, so they asked us to promote this as well. If you have a student who is interested in one of these, they also have a financial assistance program. So again, if participation, if the fees are a barrier to participation, contact them. This is new too. This is through the Arlington Echo thing. They have a camp for students who have experienced teens ages 6 to 18 who have experienced some sort of a loss, death of a loved one. And this is cool. I had not seen something like this in the past. Again, there is a cost, but scholarships are available. So that's something new this year, which I think is probably some of our students could benefit from.
Nice
We'll
option.
Yeah, some interesting stuff. And then we have some food pantries this May 30th into this week, and then June 6th at the Annapolis Neck Eastport Library. And then June 10th at Mills Parole and June 17th at the library are more. So if you know anybody that is in need, and I think that's everything I've got. All right.
Great.
Anyone else have anything else to share from the community? All right. We are still sort of waiting for Joanna, who said she could not join us until 7:15. So let's just go back to unfinished business. We had our budget update and then redistricting. Janet, have you heard what the status is on the system that they were going to do for security? Did that get funded in the county?
Yeah, from what I read, so the Board of Ed put in for the, $1 million or $2 million option to have it at all schools. So the county executive's budget proposal, which then goes to the county council, had the funding for a pilot program at 2 schools. So it depends on what the county council that we should lobby and make our wishes known to decides how to finally finalize the budget there. If they do the pilot program at 2 schools, I would suggest they do it at Severna Park High School and see how well it works for students entering the building and getting through. They want to
Definitely.
see how quickly students can still enter and process through the system. Try the technology out there.
All right. And when is the final vote on that budget?
The county council vote, I am not sure of.
I meant to check earlier. All right. Okay. All right. Any other budgetary things that we need to keep an eye on? Or I'll ask Janet, I know you're always pretty informed on the budget. Are there any other budgetary items that we need to keep an eye on or be lobbying for? I mean, beyond the additional social worker at Annapolis High.
Well, if people want to contact the whole county council and advocate, instead of spending $330,000 on this technology, that the Johns Hopkins Center for Education Department has put out a school safety book where they argued against using this because it produced so much disruption and false positives and things, that this was not appropriate use of technology. I would say have the county executive and county council pivot the money over into school psychology positions, because there was very few of those social emotional health positions funded in this budget, much less than the Board of Ed requested. So instead of wasting the money on some things that haven't been academically documented to provide beneficial results, that perhaps the ones that have evidence-based utility could be funded instead.
All right. Excellent advice. Who knows whether they will listen to us or not. Do we want to prepare a motion to send to the county council on that, Janet?
Um,
I think we did at one point. I don't know, do we? Can't remember now. It's been a while.
Yeah, hopefully that was transferred last time when we
Yeah.
said we
That was-
we wanted the social
All right.
social position funded. But it could be resent to the county council.
Okay.
Did you distribute the motion that Jess sent about?
Yes. Yes, that went out to, yeah, Jess sent it out. It went out to Dr. Bedell, all the members of the school board.
Right. Did that go
and
to all the commission as well? The final that was sent, if we can get what was finally
It's
sent.
oh, no, I guess it would have been included in the minutes, which have not yet gone out. But yes, we can well, we sent out the rough draft, and actually that document was we sent out a link to the Google Doc, and then we edited in there. So everyone has access to the final version. But yes, it will come back out when we will send it back out, because it will be in the minutes from the meeting last month, as soon as Corey gets done with them. Thank you, Corey.
Okay. Yeah, if people can have that final, what was actually submitted, that would be helpful.
Great. Okay.
I'll look up the county council.
Yeah, let me double check in our minutes too to see what the motion was that we passed. It's been a minute or two. Shoot, these are all. The computer, he is not happy with me tonight, and I do not know why. All right. Let me just double check and see.
Jan,
Yes.
yeah, do you know how many high school graduates we have this year at Annapolis High?
I do not.
Okay.
Jess probably would, because she has a graduate.
And Corey, do you know?
In the 400s, 430, 470, I don't know. Laura?
Okay.
All right, I'm looking through our draft minutes from earlier this year on the. Oh, that was the calendar scheduling. Oh, I thought I could find this easily. Childcare. I found childcare.
What are you looking for, Laura?
I'm looking for the motion that we passed on the budget that last fall, just because I wanted to see what the wording on that was. I cannot for the life of me figure out what meeting that was.
Okay, they had a budget meeting today. The county council had a budget meeting today at 9 a.m. Administration's rebuttal. So did they vote on it this morning? I don't know.
Can't
Um,
find.
Monday, June 9th. Hold on.
I do not know about it, how many people, but I do know that it's supposed to be, passed because a lot of people are asking for extra tickets this year.
Corey, we can't hear you. Can you, is there a way you can turn your volume up?
Sorry, my phone is so broke. I was saying I do not know about, how many people, but I do know it's supposed to be packed this year because a lot of people are asking for extra tickets.
Uh-huh.
There's never enough tickets because people want to take, all their grandparents and, if you have lots of kids, I mean, you get what, 4 tickets or something? If you've got,
7.
more than
Seven.
2 kids, you're out of luck. Or like, if you've got,
7 this year, but also they are going to be streaming it online and on, I think it's the public access channel this year.
well, I looked through our minutes. It must have been the August meeting, and I don't seem to have a copy of those here. All right, well, I'm sorry. I was trying to find the minutes, the minutes from the meeting where we did have a motion on the budget. I thought we voted on I'm just looking right at it. I thought we had sent a motion to county budget. No, we talked about it. Can you find the August minutes? I looked at September and October. But I cannot find, we passed a motion on, that we sent to, I thought, to the county council on
Okay.
the budget, basically saying that we wanted to
Mhm.
have them.
Okay.
I can't find it.
Can I just add the date that the county council will be is reviewing the current county executive's proposed budget and will adopt a budget by June 13th, 2025.
Okay.
So you have now to get in and try and influence all of your county council members as to what you see as priorities that they should or shouldn't be funding. So
All right.
please go
Can
on the
you,
site and contact.
or again, I can't find, I thought we had voted on something, but unless it was at the August meeting, I did not seem to be able to find that in the minutes. Do we want to write any kind of a motion on that to send to them on this particular, saying that we would like to see them use those funds instead on funding to fund instead the mental health care as requested in the school, but as requested by AACPS? Do we
I
have?
would have preferred that we've had an opportunity to see the study that Janet is talking about when she said
It's,
John
it's the
Hopkins.
county executive's proposed budget. It's not a study.
I'm
It's the
not
county
talking about that. You said something about a report from John Hopkins saying that
Okay.
that system causes this, that, and the other. But we haven't
Yeah,
had.
I sent that out in a previous, I sent that out to the commission in a previous.
That
I
was a
thought-
couple months ago. Yeah, I think you did.
Yeah, I did.
It was a lot to read, but yeah, I don't know if people remember that or have a way. I wish we had known ahead of time so we could have gone back and looked at it.
This is budget time. Every time of year, the county council has to pass the budget. So that's what the schedule they're on.
Okay. All right, well, the budget meeting is, you said June 13th. They will pass the budget. So if we can put that information again together, I guess we could all send out something individually in favor of that. Or in favor of moving funds from the proposed was it the pilot program and put it instead into mental health care. I guess we could send stuff individually. That would work. And then I'm looking for was looking for your study to see if I could bring that up real quick, Janet.
Yeah. The title of the book or the something is like Safe and Healthy Schools. Just got published last in 2024. Anyway.
I hope that also that Dr. Tobin will address that. Evidently, if they pushed it forward, I'd like to hear why she said they pushed it forward, to the executive.
Sure. You can ask her because it was
Yeah.
something Dr. Bedell wanted, and they like to support and defer to Dr. Bedell in what he's asking. But now it comes down to the citizens. What do the citizens, the Board of Ed has put forth their proposals. What do the citizens of Anne Arundel County believe is most worthy to be funded? Because not all that the Board of Ed put forward is being funded. So what are the choices that we want to see being made?
Mhm. A couple things, well, referring to that, I will ask her. Don't let me forget. Number two, did they state, or have you heard, Janet or Laura or anybody, where they have this system and if in fact it's been successful or not? Like another school district or something like that.
The study might cover that. Dr. Bedell's examples that he used was that, they use it at FedEx Field or like Raven Stadium or other things. One, which are extremely well-funded and well-staffed events. Two, you go sporadically and you expect security. It's not a 180 day a year event and of a poorly staffed high school or other things. And, does the backlog prevent students from getting to class on time and lose instructional time?
Okay.
Yes.
That's one of your concerns.
Yes, it really is. It's like, do we cause this jam? Do we cause kids to feel like their privacy is being, searched daily? And kids are smarter than these systems, If they're going to be up to something, it usually comes in through a back door and not through the screening thing. So I see a lot of negatives of loss of instructional time, feeling like you're in a prison system where you're scanned every day. And I don't see a lot of positives. I'd love, Tara, you work every day in a high school. If you have thoughts of screening systems that you've seen or heard about in other high schools, I'd love to get your thoughts on that.
I haven't currently, but I wish that there were other options available. So, so the kids don't feel like criminals, is what I want to say.
Yeah. It kind of just puts a negative vibe on coming to school. And like, this is what adults think of us. And just if somebody's embarrassed, you're carrying tampons through in your backpack and the security guards opening it up and looking through your stuff. And there's just, and loss of instructional time. When you think of getting 2,200 students through the front door and these screening systems, kids are late to class already. How do we not cut out more learning time?
And they already have such a narrow window between the time when the doors open and the time when classes begin. I mean, they only allow like what, 20 minutes or something between the time they open the door to the time they expect students to be in class. So if
And
you've
that's
got
if your bus is there 20 minutes ahead. If
Well-
your bus is there 4 minutes before the bell, you're
Yeah.
still having to get through here.
But I mean, just imagine how long they would be, how long they would be backed up there, on,
Yeah.
waiting to go through if like you think about how long the line at the airport, backs
Yeah.
up if you're trying to go through security.
I-
Do we really want our kids to have to go through that long zigzag, cordons to get into the building?
Right. I just want to make the point from an equity standpoint, if they want to try this technology out, try it out at the school with the least amount of farm students in it and see how well it works there. And
Right.
before you are subjecting, other schools where class time is at a premium of getting kids into class, getting them engaged, things like that. If you're willing, if you want to try these pilot programs out, I would say don't do it at Annapolis High. Try it somewhere else in the AACPS system.
Yeah. Try it on a school that isn't overcrowded. I mean, regardless of population, try it somewhere you have time for that. I found the link to both to the article you were talking about that you sent, Janet, and
Yeah.
the thing. Let me see if I can share the article, which I thought was a very good article. Here we go. So it's a book from Johns Hopkins. Here's the book. I don't know if can you guys see this too? Creating Safe, Healthy, and Inclusive Schools. And Challenges and Solutions. So this is the book that was published by Johns Hopkins University Press. And then the article, which Janet also sent to us, and I can resend these both to the group, talks about this, basically saying that the conversation should focus more on mental health and equity instead of violence prevention. Which is exactly what we're talking about here. They highlight evidence about the ineffectiveness of common school safety measures like hiring police officers and installing cameras and metal detectors. And they advocate instead for asset-based approaches like restorative justice and social emotional learning with a focus on student mental health and well-being. Which is what we have been saying all along, that we don't have the staff to focus on the social emotional side because we have one school psychologist for 2,200 students, and each guidance counselor is supposed to be, in addition to helping with schedules and stuff, helping with student mental health. But who has time for that when you have a caseload of 300 students who are coming to you with needs for scheduling or college applications or whatever? I mean, even scheduling this year was a far bigger challenge than it should have been because they really didn't get the word out to families about doing it online. So then the guidance counselors had to go into the classrooms and pull each group of kids in every, to go into every English class, pull the kids out and get their schedules and stuff done. And that took weeks and weeks. So it's just not, they don't have time to do that.
Yeah. Laura, did you see that Fish is here and he has his hand up?
Welcome, Fish. Yes. What would you like to ask
Hey,
or
folks,
add?
just to add my perspective, and I'm on the Metro, so I'll be quick and quiet. I haven't read this Johns Hopkins book, but I've read a lot of the research on school weapons detection systems, and it's very mixed. They fail a lot. There are negative externalities, as Janet has covered. They are not consistently proven to be effective, and investing in school psychologists and school counselors is consistently proven to be effective. So I'm in favor of us weighing in. I don't see why we would put millions of dollars into a strategy that is not consistently proven to be effective over a strategy that has consistently proven to be effective to create safe schools. I think it makes a mockery of all the research that's available about how to make schools safe. And so I'm in favor of us weighing in against it.
Great.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know if you've been, I'm sort of scrolling, so I don't know if you guys were reading as on the screen here, but exactly that. They said, I talk about the loss of instructional time for these pulling kids out as a result of these policies. Take a heavier toll on Black and Brown students and students with disabilities. And so basically all the groups that we are here advocating for more support for, they are getting less.
Mhm.
So I think, yeah, this
I'm
is.
happy to take a stab at a motion if we-
Yeah, if you could, I think what we need is the budget line item. If you can find that information, if you have a minute to find that online, and basically say the funds in this line item, we would rather see used instead of used for this system.
Oh, okay, I can't, I read it in a summary. I'm not going to be able to track down the budget line item. If
Okay,
somebody-
all right. If we
do
could
that.
just find whatever the wording, I don't know what the wording was on
The
the
wording was he was gonna fund $330,000 for 2 pilot programs instead of the $1.1 million plus for all the school system pilot.
Okay. All right, so I don't know how, do we want to word that? Do you want me to?
I would say the Education Commission proposes that the county executives proposed funding for weapons detecting systems in the high school be used instead for evidence-based successful measures like mental health professionals, such as the school social worker needed at Annapolis High.
Okay, hang on one second. Let me bring up a Google Doc that we can talk and type. Oh, and hang on one second. Joanna is trying to get online and not able, so give me 1 second to. Or do you have Google Doc? Can you bring up a Google Doc and type that so we can share it on see it on the screen, Janet? Or
I'm not prepared to do that, and I'm not sure
Okay.
how to do that right now.
hang on 1 second. Let me find the link and send the link to
I
Joanna.
can speak if anyone wants to type.
Yeah, I can't type and send a link at the same time. Give me a second.
Mm.
Area, several agencies working around the clock deploying canines and drones.
Odessa, you got your TV on? We can hear it. Okay, thanks.
Shoot. Send that off to Joanna. Let me bring up a Google Doc here. Okay. Okay. Janet, do you want to dictate slowly?
Sure. You
Actually,
ready?
let me. Yes, go ahead.
The Education Commission recommends that the county executives proposed FY26 funding for school screening / detection systems be used instead for evidence-based measures of proven success, such
So-
as
Wait, evidence.
evidence-based measures of proven success, comma, such as mental health professionals, period. We recommend for evidence-based measures of proven success, comma, such as mental health professionals in the high schools. period.
Um,
We recommend the additional Annapolis High social worker position be funded in this budget.
hang on one second, let me share this.
Thanks for doing that, Laura. Sorry.
Sure, sorry.
Not a Google Doc whiz getting out of Zoom and finding that.
Okay, so the Annapolis Education Commission recommends that the county executives, I guess county executive should all be capitalized, huh? Proposed
Mhm.
by 26 funding for school screening detection systems be used at the funding be used instead for evidence-based measures of proven success, such as mental health professionals in our county schools. They did request funding for that.
For
I was just wondering if we have the AACPS.
very few of the requested psychologist and social worker positions were funded, like
Yeah.
a small portion.
Did I hear you say that Dr. Tobin was waiting to come in?
Well, no, she couldn't get in, so I sent her the link. She couldn't get on it from her AACPS machine. Oh wait, no, that didn't go. Yahoo.
The link you sent in today's message didn't go. Tell her if she can get on the one from Mark Hildebrand.
I got in on that one. It just sent me to another one, and I just clicked on that, the one today. It
Okay.
worked.
It
Mhm.
worked. Okay. Mine just went spinning.
Hang on, I just got it. Oh, yeah. All right, hang on one second. I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to try this to send this. Yeah, why did that not? Let me try forwarding. Yeah.
I have a question.
Sure.
If the county if they already decided not to cover that through the county executive, is that something that can be still reappropriated?
The positions,
Yes.
can the county council move money within the 14 categories that is allotted? So perhaps, right, that 330,000 is allotted into like facilities and construction or something.
Yeah.
I think the county council is able to change the allotment of categories. Once the county council sets the allotment of categories, I don't think, I know that AACPS can't change that. So AACPS can't take 330 out of facilities category and put it in personnel category. But I think that the council can, the categories are not finalized by the county executive's proposal.
Okay.
You know
Thank
how
you.
there's 14 of them in this
Right.
ACPS funding? That's my understanding, Pam, and I might, hopefully that's correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Sorry, it's Joanna here. Sorry, it took me so
Oh,
long to
good.
get on.
Yay.
It's been
Good.
it's been a day. But yeah, Janet, I think you're correct. The ultimate authority in that sense is the county council, not the county
Right.
executive.
Right. Thank you.
All right.
Welcome. Thanks.
Yes,
thanks
welcome.
for being- thanks for being here, there, and everywhere.
It's graduation
Lots of
season.
graduations you're attending.
You guys are allowed to relax for a minute and enjoy the culmination of all the hard work you put in seeing those kids walk across the stage.
I was at Marley Glen, one of our special schools today. I always do their graduations. I don't know, I just sort of adopted that school when I first came on board, and 3 of their students graduated. And of course, those are students who, for the most part, have been there from age of 3 to 21.
Wow.
So the families, you know, it's a
Very tight community.
very tight community, but it's a very wonderful experience. And Phoenix Academy was yesterday, which was
Right.
terrific. They are doing very well at this point. Dr. Bedell really redesigned both Phoenix and Mary Moss to sort of focus in their different goals, so they're not trying to be everything to everyone, and it's really paying off, quite frankly.
Great.
And so that's good to see too. And I was at the Apex Senior Awards, which is always an amazing evening
Oh, that's-
last night, and then a different thing, but I think very important in the Annapolis community today was the unveiling of the Perrin J. Mitchell memorial at it's at the Pitt Moyer Center, and the governor was there and lots of folks, and it's, again, there were people who served with him in Congress, and you know, the history of that is really important to have in the city, and yet another place that our students can learn real history. So
Mhm.
Could you, Dr. Tobin, tell me, I know in the past there was an age difference in who they serviced between the Phoenix Center and Mary Moss. I had a friend who taught at Mary Moss for a few years. Can you tell me the difference?
well, that has changed. That has changed. It used to be that Mary Moss really only went through middle school.
Right.
But now it goes all the way up through high school, with the idea, again, that Phoenix serves a different purpose than Mary Moss. Mary Moss really is exclusively for students with particular IEPs, very often connected to emotional issues, whereas Phoenix is really an alternative environment for students who need smaller classes, who need you know, more focus for a host of different reasons, but not the same things that are available at Mary Moss. And Mary Moss is also, as we transition to what I think all the research says is critical in special education, which is the full inclusion model. It remains the case that most data show that approximately 10% of students who have IEPs need rather don't benefit from the same inclusion model that about 90% do. And so Mary Moss is a way for there to be a place really focused on those students, focused on ensuring their, you know, that these are students that are aiming to graduate, right? Not on the sort of certificate lane, but the diploma lane, but in an environment that will support them. And what has been the concern is, on the one hand, we don't want students to simply be away from the inclusion that we know is so important for their development. On the other hand, for that 10% of students for whom that inclusive model doesn't work, we don't want them having to be ping-ponged back and forth, right? So somebody says, okay, well, they should be able to now do well in a more a less, you know, as we say, the least restrictive environment, right? So the most inclusive environment, and then it doesn't work, and then they get pushed back into another environment. So again, this is an attempt to make sure that we're actually serving the needs of the right populations in the right places. Previously, Phoenix sort of had to be everything to everyone, and it wasn't really working. And I've been in the school several times this year, and just out of nowhere had people who come up to me who have worked there for years, or in some cases have volunteered there for years at Phoenix, and said to me, "This is like a different school. This is exactly what we were hoping it would be." And in fact, because of some of the issues at Phoenix before, because of the sort of the way it was set up, there's an SRO there, and there was often a need for the SRO to make sure that, if there was an issue, a behavioral issue that broke out, the SRO often supported in that. The SRO said to me, "They're loaning me out to other schools. They don't need me here now." And so, and that's Dr. Bedell himself for 3 years was principal of an alternative school in the Houston system. And so he understands very, very well the environment and what is needed. And I think has been able to really bring some of the changes and bring some of the focus to these schools that they're needed to be, quite frankly, so that all those students are getting exactly what they need. And it was amazing to see these young people at Phoenix, and one graduate from Mary Moss this year, and what they're moving on to. One of them has a full ride to Coppin State, and has been at Phoenix since the beginning of 10th grade. And he was the class speaker, and he said, this was where I was able to learn how to focus, how to do the work, how to figure out what was important to me, and what was going to get me where I needed to go. And I think his goal is to be a social worker at this point. But that is encouraging. I'm very, very grateful to see that, because that has been a concern of mine. Even though these schools serve the whole county, of course, they're in my district, so I'm aware of them. I'm there very often, and I know a number of families who have students there, so I'm very, very grateful to see what's happening. But I hope that helps, Ms. Lee, in your question.
Yes, it does. Thank you so very, very much. And before you came on, we were having a discussion about the budget and about Dr. Bedell putting in for a security system in I think 2 of the schools. And let me make sure I have this right. And there's been information or research, and we are, asking for information so that we can kind of see how we really feel about it. And many people on the commission have said that instead of putting money towards that, they would prefer that money go into counselors and social workers and things that we have been proven to work for the mental health and the safety of kids. Can you kind of tell us a little bit about why that was put forward? I mean, has this been something that Dr. Bedell has experienced in his other schools? I mean, why, some people feel that this will make the kids feel more like they're in prison and stuff like that. Can you share what those beliefs are, or what research about what is better for the kids?
Well, so I'll start by saying I hate the idea that we live in a world where this is what we talk about when we talk about schools, because we shouldn't be talking about this kind of security in schools. And Dr. Bedell has always said that the sort of metal detector model is an absolute non-starter with him, and I agree. I've I've evaluated a number of schools that have them. There are all sorts of problems with them, not the least of which is the sense of being in prison, but also it's not a wise move to have a line of students at the same time every day standing outside trying to get into school if you're worried about security. That's just not smart, right? So this pilot, and it is a pilot, is a system that is non-invasive, supposedly much more fluid, something that can be moved around. Dr. Bedell has said to the board straight up several times, it's not if, it's when we have an incident in school. That's we've had so many near misses. And I will say, I mean, I'm on record as saying this. I am appalled that as a society we have this many guns running around, and our answer is to try to lock down our schools, not to deal with the guns. But that is, you know, that is what Dr. Bedell has said to us, and I, as a board member, have to take that seriously when my superintendent says that, because I bear responsibility for the children in our care. The idea of this was a pilot to see if this would be as effective as it purports to be in being sort of very strategic in where and how these things are used at different times and in different ways, and not setting up the sort of prison structure where you have to walk through something every day and you have to be treated like you're, you know, going in and out of a lockdown situation. I was concerned, and my colleague Ms. Dent were concerned. She represents Meade High School. I represent Annapolis High School. That when we heard there were 2 schools that would be piloted, that we were very concerned. We knew exactly which kids would be the target, so to speak, of that pilot. And we were worried about that, quite frankly. Which is why the board ended up voting for, if this was going to be piloted, pilot it throughout the system. The county executive has gone back to the piloting in 2 schools, which I don't know which schools those, because I don't know if we were going to get, you know, when the budget's said and done, I don't know if we'll actually get the money for the pilot. As I said, this was based on what our superintendent told us. And I trust him. He doesn't say things like that lightly. He knows what's going on. He talks to superintendents all over the country. And of course, for all sorts of reasons, we don't talk publicly about the security information that we have, because that's, you know, there are all sorts of security reasons why you don't do that. I will say, one of the reasons that this is a pilot is to just see how this works and not invest in a full purchase of this system. There are other technologies out there, which I am encouraging our staff to look at, which have more to do with picking up anomalies. I mean, we already have cameras in schools. That footage is used in our system really for forensics, right? If something has happened, then someone looks at the footage. You may remember the dreaded words contact tracing from COVID. That was often how that was done, right? Looking at literally at film to see who was next to whom and so forth. There are models out there that simply are large language models that are trained to pick up everything from, God forbid, a weapon to, frankly, bullying in the halls. I mean, lots of things that, and I'm hoping the staff will also look at that. So I guess the short answer is this is, if this goes through, this is a pilot based on a very stern warning from our superintendent. And we will see what, if we get this, what these technologies actually look like on the ground. I agree with you. I don't like this. I don't like having to have it, but I am faced with representing, in my particular case, a district where I've got students for whom, unfortunately, school is often the safest place they are. And I have to ensure that school remains safe for them. They are being traumatized outside of school. I don't like the idea of school feeling more like it's prison. I don't want that, but I have to weigh that against additional trauma in school. And that's not a pleasant choice to have to make, but that is the choice I believe we're faced with right now. In an ideal world, I mean, we know we need more counselors. We know we need more psychologists. We know we need more social workers. We know we need smaller classes. We know all the things that we need. We're not getting funded that way right now. And as I said, I'm frustrated that as adults, this is kind of what it comes down to, right? We spend some money on a weapons detection system because we're faced with the kind of stark reality of the potential for violence. We don't spend as much money as we should on the supports that we know our students would benefit from across the board. And so I don't have a great answer for you, but that's how we got there. That's how we got here, unfortunately.
Was there any research presented to the board members or any experience with such systems? Number one,
yeah.
that's my first, or was it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
That, I'm sorry, that is done and closed because of security, right? We don't share the particulars of the systems we're looking at with the public for obvious reasons.
Okay, so you did you have much more.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess then the only other thing that I, would say, and I'm sure others feel the same way, is it's like, number one, the question would be, how would those schools be chosen? Because I think we have kind of the same feeling you have about where that may end up. And number two, let's face it, the ones that would be bringing the guns, they would know how to avoid the system after a short amount of time. You know what I mean? I mean, maybe somebody has it in their backpack and they, for whatever reason, maybe, it can be picked up there. But if someone's coming in to actually target and someone, or they're going to know that how to avoid that and how to come into school another way. And again, that's a sad part of that decision making that you have to take into account. But thank you for the information, Dr.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Thank you. I agree with a lot of what you're saying. I think Ms. Ellis had her hand up next.
Yeah, hi, Dr. Tobin.
Hi.
During the day, during my time that I'm home, that I'm retired now, I go to these food pantries and I take the food into these low income neighborhoods, mostly to people that, kind of strapped for food items. And my person that goes along with me, we just can't we're just amazed at seeing the number of kids, especially young teenage boys, during the day when they should be in school. And I think that we should, the Education Commission and the school, we need to try to figure out why these kids aren't in school. And then sometimes some of the kids will come out of their home for the parents to pick up the food. And we always ask the question, why aren't you in school? Are we looking at the numbers of children that are not in school from I guess mostly middle school kids I see, and mostly male, African American males. And I just think that, the safety concern is also not just the schools, but the neighborhoods. And if these kids are not in school and getting a decent education, we are endangering our lives too. So, I mean, I've been bringing this up for a while. I think we need to try to figure out why we have a problem. Mental illness is a big, serious problem. We need to try to focus on ways of keeping these kids involved in their education and want to come to school.
Well, so I will tell you that Dr. Bedell gives us attendance statistics 2 years every week. The board gets this every week. So we have the exact week for this year and the week for the previous year, right? So we always see at the end of every week at every level, elementary, middle, high school. Our attendance, or rather, it's a weird measure, right? So it's always the percentage you're looking at is always the number of students not chronically absent, okay? So if you see a number that says 92.76%, that means 92.76% of students were not chronically absent. In other words, 7.24% were chronically absent, right? You follow my logic here. It's always a little weird sometimes when people look at it. Those numbers have gone up steadily. So Annapolis High is now at about 93%. A couple of years ago, it was like 88. And when I say up, I mean the number of kids not absent has gone down. The number of kids, the number of kids not absent has gone up. The number of kids chronically absent has gone down. And so, I understand what you're saying, and I understand. Janet, are you saying something?
We've never been at 88 or 93. Are you talking about the number of students attending that week and what the attention, instead of chronically absent? Because Annapolis High's been at like 60 and 65 and 70% not chronically absent.
Not now. Not now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've been getting these numbers now for years from Dr. Bedell. So this is
and she's talking chronically absent, meaning they've had more, the students that are out have been absent more than this, as opposed to just the number of kids that are absent that day for illness or whatever, which is a different number, Janet.
That's a different number.
So, and that number is,
and I'm wondering
lower.
what you're like, I'm surprised that you're getting 93%. So they have to be chronically absent. You have to be missing 10% or 18 days out of 180 days.
Right.
But is that based on enrollment? Are they really looking at the number of students that were in 5th grade last year and then 6th grade this year, and then base it on the absences? Because the kids, Dr. Bedell and others, they need to ride around in these communities. Go down Bay Ridge Gardens. It's nothing but kids, young males standing outside looking for trouble or getting in trouble.
I mean, we have been, all I can say is, and this is where I trust my superintendent and his staff, we have been doing this very intentionally since Dr. Bedell. I mean, like all systems coming out of COVID, we had taken a huge dive. And you've read articles about chronic lack of attendance all over the country. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff going on. But our numbers have been systematically going up based on very clear data that they have been using to report this, which are all the standard procedures that we use. Now, I appreciate what you're saying, Ms. Ellis. So there's a lot of kids in that 7 or 8% that you're talking about, right? And they're unfortunately probably concentrated in some communities more than others. But the fact is, I mean, we had Annapolis Elementary took a huge positive jump in its numbers because literally the staff went to the streets and knocked on doors and started saying, your kids need to be, what can we do? You know, do you need help getting your kids to school? We have PPWs and all sorts of folks who work on this every day. We still do have families and kids who are not getting their kids to school. But our staff, our building staff, our central office staff, this is something they work on every single day. And their data is solid. They're working with a group, I think many of you are aware of, Attendance Works, who's been doing this for a long time. And I've seen, presentations they've made at MABE and other conferences I've gone to. They're a well-regarded organization. They have been doing this for a long time. And, we are making steady progress, but that is...
So maybe they should try to break it down by groups or by race, because it's hard for me to believe that all these kids are out of school and everybody's saying they're coming to school. I know too much.
Odessa, because our school is so big, if you have 2,150 students at Annapolis High and 8% of them are absent that day or that week, that's 172 students.
Yeah.
So it's a big number because we're a big school.
Yeah.
But can they break it down by race though?
They break it down by single child. The attendance issue only gets changed when you do it one by one by one by one. And that is what our staff does. That's why I said, literally, Annapolis Elementary, which took a huge jump in a positive direction, did it, and the other schools are doing it one by one, knocking on door after door after door.
Okay.
It's not something you do by big groups, unfortunately.
But how many are reaching high school? That's my question, because these kids that I see are mostly middle and high school students. So how many are reaching to the high school level? And then so many go over to the Phoenix and Mary Moss, and then they drop out. And nobody, once they turn, 16 or 18, nobody goes and look for them.
Well, as I said, this is the work we're doing. This is exactly what I was talking about with Phoenix and Mary Moss before. The goal here is if it doesn't work for them to be in for example, the comprehensive high school, for some students, the answer is a well-designed, appropriately resourced alternative situation where kids can have smaller classes, more supports, the focus that they need, rather than what I think has traditionally been the view, which is, you couldn't make it, so you went to Phoenix and nobody really cares, right? That's not what we're trying to do here. We're slowly seeing those results, I think, and it's my hope that we will continue to. But yes, there is still a problem. Look, I'm not going to lie to you. There are still children and families that try as we do to reach, to connect with, to ensure that, you know, we're understanding what the barriers are, what we can do to help, it's still not working. But the percentages are much lower than they were, which is what we just keep hoping we keep moving in the right direction. And we don't lose children along the way, which is what's happening when children don't come to school. So thank you for bringing that up to me, Ms. Ellis. I appreciate it.
Well, just think about, the African American, because that's the, communities I'm mostly in. And I think that we should try to break it down according to race.
Well, we do. We get those. I mean, let me just say, I get that data broken down by demographic. I mean, the entire board, we get it broken down by different kinds of schools, right? Is it a community school? Is it not a community school? We get it broken down by demographics. We get it broken down by every possible way every time the superintendent sends those reports to us.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm not sure who was next.
I think I was.
Yeah.
So that was the question. When it was included in the board's budget, it was not well explained. And so I did not know what kind of model they're doing, if they're trying to do a screening at the front door model or others. I would caution the use of non-invasive. Okay, maybe it's not physically invasive that someone is going through every single backpack in your thing, but if you're being pulled out of a crowd by a security officer and you have a metal container of mints that they can't see through that metal container or something, it's still a mentally invasive process that we're all going through in a highly as we see a more security apparatus system around us. So I would just caution that. And also, if you are talking to the superintendent, if this happens to get funded and you're talking to them about where the pilot programs are going, I would, there's kind of two different, as we've seen from shootings all over the country, in every venue, in sports venues, at churches, at grocery stores, and there's often the FBI profile of a more middle-class demographic.
Oh, yeah.
This is not the low-income, high farm schools where this is happening as much. It's your middle and higher income schools, and keep that in mind as you are targeting what schools you're going to be using this as.
Oh, yeah.
The school shooter profile is a certain type of demographic.
It's interesting to me that I believe one of the communities that has sort of said, oh, we would actually like to be the school that gets this, is an area that probably, how do I put this? Probably supports the most expansive view of quote unquote gun rights.
Good.
And
Well, they know that their own community might be flooded with guns and guns at home that students can bring into school. So
the problem is that it's not necessarily a rational argument, but the perception is we're the community where a child was shot at a school bus stop.
Yeah. So
and it's, I mean, and I'm just saying that because again, I think if you break it down rationally, it's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
By nature, this is not necessarily the realm of reason.
Right, right. We're trying to bring it back from the realm of fear into the realm of reason. And so in the county executive's proposed budget, if the number of like social workers and school psychologists and stuff was cut to like 2 or 3, do you have any recollection of how many positions?
I mean,
It's a very small number.
yeah, we didn't get any, I don't think we got any social workers other than what would be paid for by the community schools. So,
Right. So if you can advocate to them that,
oh yeah, no, they know. They
well, the county council has not decided on the final budget
no,
yet.
no, but they are well aware of my
Your view. Okay.
my view of this. And I will continue
Yes.
to
Hopefully
advocate.
the Education Commission can push our view that the funding still needs to go into personnel to
Yeah.
help students adjust.
And-
We're woefully underfunded in adults helping students get through
Yes.
the highly complicated high school system
Yeah.
and on to their next step.
And the truth is that so we didn't, obviously didn't get nearly what we asked for. And yet we are the envy of every district in this state right now. We got so much more than anybody else, even close in the state. And that is for a number of reasons. It's partially that this county and this school board seems to have been, and I'm not saying this to cast aspersions on any other county in the state, but for whatever the reason, we seem to have been the ones who really planned for what is known as the ESSER cliff, right? When the ARPA and ESSER funds started sunsetting, we, both the county executive's office and ACPS, thanks basically to our two superheroes, Chris Trumbauer and Matt Stansky, we actually were not set up for the kind of cliff that a lot of other school systems. I mean, I'm sure you're well aware of what's going on in Howard County. I'm sure lots of other places are fighting for within an inch of their lives not to let staff go, let alone hire. So, it's not, as it's currently proposed, not what we need, but it is far better than, and it's far better than we were led to expect even a month before it was put out. A lot of things changed within that month. Our revenues for the county suddenly started looking better than they had been projected to look. And that was really the difference. And so, the kind of conservative budgeting they've done is what's, while the state and the country have taken a hit when it comes to Moody's, we as a county have retained our AAA status. So that also puts us in much better shape than either the state or the country right now.
Nice.
So, again, that doesn't solve the immediate problem, but it means we're not in the kind of position we could have been in. And I do get the sense that the county council is looking for ways to add a little more money here and there to the budget. And I will say, to, on our behalf, AACPS, I think we have shown that when the county gives us money, we get results. And that's kind of how it needs to work. And if I may veer for a moment, even into the political realm, I think we showed in the Board of Education elections last fall that it was not to anybody's advantage to run against this system, that the system was doing well, not perfect, but well. And politicians notice those kinds of things. And that also has an additional, it puts some wind at our backs. And I think that has helped us thus far navigate what could have been a much darker fiscal situation than we're facing right now. But it doesn't mean we're not going to be still lacking some things that we need.
That's great to hear. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. I try to find the positive.
Yeah. Did Corey have her hand up?
Yeah, I saw another hand. I don't know if she had to jump off. I know we're getting past your time.
Yeah.
I just want to add, I'm sure all of you saw, those of you who are parents today, the announcement from Dr. Bedell about the stoles, cords, which I think was my view is that was the right resolution.
Yes, that was nice.
This is one of those very unclear regulations that had been sitting there evidently for years and not implemented consistently. And then when questions arose this year, to their credit, the chief academic officer and her deputy said, okay, well, we'll go back and look at the regulation. And they looked at the regulation and they said, this is what it says. And what it said didn't match up to what most of us have experienced. I mean, my child graduated in COVID, so she was just handed a plastic bag full of cords. But you know, I credit Dr. Bedell with saying, okay, this was before my time, but this is my responsibility. We will get this sorted out. Meanwhile, our students have earned these. Let them celebrate their graduation and let's, move forward. So, because the issue is a couple of things. I guess this is where it came from. We get people routinely saying, well, can I wear my Eagle Scout thing? No. Or people ordering something off the internet or wanting to wear something that's very particular to family or something, and, having to sort of draw some line. But I think there's a clear way to do that, which doesn't get us into this kind of crazy stuff. And the truth is, we've got another category now, which is because of the dual enrollment and the certification, students can actually earn from the community college by the time they graduate from high school. They should be able to wear those AACC, whatever cords or whatever they are, because we're encouraging them to do it. And frankly, the school system is paying under Blueprint is paying the community college to do it. So, we need to make sure that everything is clearly outlined so principals know this is what this means. Everybody does it this way, and end of story, so to speak. So, and
So what?
Go ahead.
Yeah, what about the clubs? Are they able to wear their?
Yeah, so I think anything that's like inside the school, like National Honor Society, those kind of things should be part of it. I don't know. I mean, there are different kinds of clubs. There are clubs that are very specifically inside the school, outside the school. I think for this year, the answer is if you got something through stuff you did at school, you wear it, right? How they're going to address that as they put this work group together, I have no idea. But I would assume most clubs in school qualify as the kind of thing you would wear at your graduation. So the other thing I just wanted to mention, again, I'm sure you've seen this by now, but there was some good information that came out a couple of weeks ago, or maybe a week ago, on the PSATs and the SATs in ACPS And one of the reasons we're focusing on this is what's known as norm reference data, right? It's nationally normed. So what we have found is that the MCAP stuff, the state assessment results just don't line up with what we're seeing when it comes to norm reference data on our students. And Dr. Wright, the state superintendent, I think is very well aware that our state assessment is problematic, to say the least. And so there is a work group working on that at the state level right now. But meanwhile, Dr. Bedell was very concerned on two fronts. One, that we really be getting data that tells us sort of how our students are doing relative to other students in the country, based on some set of standards that we can kind of look to and say, okay, this is something that, holds. But also that this is exactly where you should be getting rid of the gatekeeper model and opening up opportunity for every student. And what we have found is everything you would expect, we got the opposite. Normally, when you offer things like SATs to more students, your averages go down, right? Our averages went up across demographics, across
I'm on the
every.
phone. I can't talk.
I'm sorry? Oh.
I think she made a mistake.
Okay. And so, it also is telling us that there were students walking around with the capability of doing this advanced work who weren't getting the opportunity to do it. And the other thing is I think we make up almost all the students in the state who are taking the PSATs at 9th, 10th, and 11th free of charge, because first of all, that helps us see where our students' strengths and weaknesses are. And it also helps students prepare, right? It gives them that opportunity to multiple times do this, but it also gives teachers real data. It tells them, where the gaps are. And as we do that more and more, we see the results in our SATs. Our SATs go up. And we're getting, consistently every year, more national merit scholars, more finalists, more, honorable mention or merit or something. I forget the terminology. And so that's very good news, because that really tells us that we're catching the talent, right? We're catching, and it's across demographics, and every group is going up. So that is really thrilling. And we're also leading the state in that. I have been at so many meetings where people from other parts of this state come up to us and say, you guys are knocking it out of the park. You've figured this out. And that's really encouraging. And especially in the Annapolis cluster, the more students we make sure have these opportunities, the better off the whole community will be. So.
And that's been my concern. The Annapolis, well, we are the Annapolis Education Commission, but I mean, like I say, I really deal with a lot of the students in poverty, and there's a lot of mental health, a lot of things going on in these neighborhoods that I don't think that the school board is addressing. So when I sent you the email, you said you didn't receive it. I didn't send it again. I was asking you, how can we keep suspending children of poverty, especially when they, some of them don't even have a place to stay. So many students are living with so many different people or relatives or whatever. And I had a person to tell me from that over at Millsboro Road that they suspending kindergarten kids, So, all these type of things. I'm glad to hear that there is progress going on in Anne Arundel County, but I think there's a lot of issues that we are not addressing.
Well, I understand what you're saying, Ms. Ellis, and I do know it's interesting. I was on a meeting not long ago with another group who were complaining that there are no longer any, suspensions, that there's no consequences. Suspension is very much a last resort in today's education structure. I am aware of one or two cases where it has happened that a very young child has been suspended, but that has been for, frankly, some extraordinary, heartbreaking reasons. I can tell you, though, that is so extraordinary that that would happen. It only happens at a point where it has to be weighed, frankly, against the safety and well-being of the other students. Now, I agree with you. When a child that young is in a situation like that, there is clearly so much else going on. It's not a matter of a quote unquote bad kid. It's something else. And we work extraordinarily hard to provide those resources for children who sadly might end up in a situation like that if it happens. But Dr. Bedell has said something a number of times that I agree with. It's our job to care for the whole child. But we are an education system, and we can either be a first-rate education system or a really third-rate social services organization. And it doesn't mean, I don't mean by that, I don't think he means by that we don't have a responsibility to provide all the supports that we can in school. But I think we also have to be cognizant of what the surrounding circumstances are outside of school that are so many, particularly our children in poverty, are faced with right now. And I'll give you.
Shouldn't we as a school system address the way that we're teaching kids today? Because this is not the 1930s. We have to address the problems of society and then kind of like change the curriculum to address the needs of these kids so they don't continue to grow up in ignorance. And by the time they reach middle school, they can continue to go on to school. But we're losing so many kids in elementary.
Well, this is why we've introduced a new literacy program that's based on the science of reading for exactly that reason, and a new math program at the elementary level that we're seeing very good results with for the same reason. From the day I got on the board, I was fighting to get a new literacy structure, quite frankly. And it took a lot, but we got there. And we're actually seeing, even in the first year, far better results. And I would urge you, if you didn't, several months ago, we had the presentation. It was a board workshop on CKLA, our elementary literacy program. And for those of you who are interested in this, I would urge you to go back and watch that board workshop. A lot of data was presented. And a lot of good work is happening. And actually, the principal of Mills Pearl was one of the people who appeared on the video that we had that night. And so, Miss Odessa, yes, and that is why we are changing the curriculum. And we have been changing the curriculum for exactly the reason you're talking about. And that is in our wheelhouse, what we are teaching students. I mean, I've always said, first and foremost, teach children to read. Make sure that they know how to read. It's half, I guarantee you, most of the children who aren't in school are children who can't read. And so that is something we have been able to change, and we are continuing to work on that. But when you think about the other issues that are in front of us, I mean, it is kind of stunning to think about the fact that the morning that shooting happened at the bus stop on Clay Street, and so many children witnessed it. The parents very quickly were getting those kids on the school bus and sending them to school because they knew they'd be safe at school. Now think about that as a parent. If you had to make that choice, wouldn't your instinct be to want to keep your child with you after having seen that? But things are so destabilized in so many communities that the choice for many parents, the best choice was to get their kids on the school bus and to school. And that is heartbreaking. That is, I mean, I've talked to the child psychologists who were working at Annapolis Elementary that day, two of whom have their own young children, and they said that really drove it home for them. And that is a really hard situation to know that so many children are walking in with all of that on their backs every single day. And so
The
we are
trauma,
changing.
so it's the trauma that these children are living in. And it's not the school's responsibility
Yeah.
completely, but I think I'm trying to express myself in a manner where I'm not sounding like I'm mad or
Oh, I
anything like
know,
that.
Miss Odessa, I know you're not mad.
But it's just that I see so much poverty, and these kids are coming from parents that grew up in the same type of poverty and education system. Some kind of way, I feel like we need to break the cycle, but I don't know how. I mean, I understand we got a new literacy program and this, that, and other, but there needs to be a mental illness piece in there somewhere in first grade or kindergarten, so that by the time these kids are ready to go to middle school, they know the importance of education. But I don't think people know the importance of education.
Well, I agree with you on that. But here's what I will say. I think the other piece of this that is critically important, and we are slowly beginning to see some changes in our youngest children, is also pre-K. Is good, high quality, well done pre-K, because a couple of things. First of all, kids are coming in ready for kindergarten, so you're not starting behind as some children do. But also the mental health stuff that you're talking about, Miss Odessa, can be picked up even that much earlier. You know, the quicker, the sooner somebody who knows what they're looking for sees these things, the better off everybody's going to be. Now, what did change in the blueprint this year, and I'm a proponent of this, is we are focused now on pre-K 4, not pre-K 4 and 3. The problem is we didn't have enough space for everybody, but also we got to get pre-K 4 right, in my view, before we start moving with pre-K 3. And having myself chaired the board of a school that was a Montessori school, so it started with kids at 18 months and then went up to 15 years. You know, you're dealing in, you really, 3-year-olds are a very particular developmental group. And you've got to get the 4-year-old structure right before you can really do justice to the 3-year-olds. So, the pre-K, I think, is another piece of this puzzle that Blueprint is helping a lot with that, but it's still a lot of work to ramp up, making sure we have the space and the teachers and all of those things. But we're still getting a lot more kids now into pre-K than were before.
Which actually, can I just interrupt for a second? Because we are running very over on time,
Yes.
and I would like to get us out of here quickly. Speaking of space issues, could you give us a quick update on where we are in the redistricting process? I know we had our special session and we sent our comments to the board and to Dr. Bedell. What's the next step? At what point can we expect to hear something,
So the next step is Dr. Bedell will present his proposals on July 23rd.
Okay.
So everybody watch that meeting. In the summer, the board only, unless there's a crisis, God forbid, we only have one meeting in July and one meeting in August. So our July meeting is July 23rd. At that meeting, Dr. Bedell will present what I suspect will be 2 proposals. At that point, we will have, the board will have probably till about, I want to say September 17th, to determine which proposal or proposals we would like to move forward with to have hearings on, right? Public hearings. And a reminder to everybody, the board can accept the superintendent's proposal or a proposal from the superintendent, amend it, or just come up with their own. And that vote will occur. The board's final vote is supposed to be, I think it's November 19th. The goal being to have the vote in November so that there's plenty of time, plenty of notice. People, families have the opportunity to figure out what this means for them, but also the county, the school system has time for the logistical arrangements that are made then based on transportation and all sorts of things. So that's where we are. We're basically right now waiting for Dr. Bedell's proposal.
Okay.
May 15th, the portal closed. But you can still, just because the portal was where the staff were taking in all the information, right, to inform Dr. Bedell's proposal. It doesn't mean people can't keep sending emails and all of that. It's just that they were using that portal to make sure there was one place where they were catching all that information so that when they put together their proposal, they will have, what they've received from folks.
Thank you.
So that's where we are.
Excellent. We appreciate that.
And thank you, Dr. Tobin. I just want to thank Dr. Tobin for taking time out to answer my questions.
Yes.
Oh, always, Miss Odessa, always for you.
And definitely, this is, Odessa, these are subjects that we are not going to solve here in one evening, but we need to keep working on. So perhaps what we need are some to set up that as the theme of a meeting, in the fall, and figure out who we'd like to have come in and maybe talk to us some more about these different options, these different areas, and what else maybe we could possibly do. So I think that's something we want to continue with. This at the end of the discussion. It's just that it's getting late and I don't want to lose folks.
Right.
I did want to tell Dr. Tobin one thing that came up during our redistricting meeting last week was we were sort of talking about the proposals. It seems to be largely driven by the supposed excess capacity at Annapolis Middle School, and of course the fact that Annapolis High is at capacity. And so rather than moving our elementary school kids, moving kids from Edgewater up to Mills Parole, which is a bad idea for a whole lot of reasons, one of the suggestions that came up while we were talking was, we know that the blueprint calls for more vocational training. We know that Cat South serves 5 high schools with I don't know, probably a total of 5, 6, maybe 8,000 kids. I don't know. I don't know what the numbers are,
Yeah.
but it serves a lot of kids and it has only a few hundred seats. So one of the proposals that we had, or one of the ideas that we threw to us, why aren't we using space at Annapolis Middle to provide some more vocational training for the kids at Annapolis High, which would solve 2 things: getting kids out of the A High building and using space at Annapolis Middle with less disruption to the kids elsewhere in there. So I don't know if that's something that anybody has thought of or has considered, but that's an idea that came out and we were all like, that makes so much sense. So I just wanted to make sure it was on your radar as well, and perhaps something to keep in mind as you guys are talking about how to, I know the Office of School Performance is there, and I guess if they were to move more kids there at some point, they might have to move some of those offices elsewhere. But the lunchroom becomes the bottleneck there, for any time you increase the number of students. So that was something that we threw up that we wanted to make sure that you got. Lastly, I don't know, for the rest of the group, do we want to go ahead and vote? I did find the proper terminology on the budget while we were talking, and I plugged that in if we wanted to go back and vote on that. But does anyone else have questions? I don't want anyone to get offline so we lose our quorum before the meeting. Anyone else have any questions for Dr. Tobin?
Thank you.
you so much. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
joining us this
Sorry
evening.
for being late.
Tobin.
Thank you. I'm sorry for being late, but thank you all for everything you do,
Great
and
discussion.
you know where to find me.
Awesome.
Take
Thank you
care.
so much. We appreciate it. It's good to see you.
And
Okay.
Laura, I have to go. I'm way late too. I have to leave.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Do we
on
want to
the
vote
motion?
real quickly on the motion?
We have a motion on the floor. Can we vote on that?
Yes. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, we still have 7 people. All right. Yes. Let me put the motion out there. I think Eden's gone. All right. Where did it go? Where did it go? I had it up. The heck did it go? Google Drive. Oh, here we go. Motion on the budget. Okay. Let me share my screen. Okay. So I plugged in the terminology, which was the non-invasive. The Annapolis Education Commission recommends that the funding allocated in the county executive's proposed FY 26 budget for non-invasive weapons detection system pilot program be used instead for evidence-based measures of proven success, the much-needed mental health professionals for our county high schools. And then the actual amendment that was passed by the school system included, there were 2 additional social workers, a couple of additional school counselors, school psychologists, and pupil personnel workers. Those were the 4 that were in the budget amendments that passed by AACPS, as requested in the AACPS budget. In particular, we urge that an additional social worker position at Annapolis High School be funded.
Excellent. Thank you, Laura. That's a wonderful clarification and additions.
I wanted to make sure that we had the terminology.
I accept the friendly amendment of the motion and
All right.
and propose that motion.
All right. Any discussion? Does anybody have anything else that they want to add, change, modify? Discussion? All right, crickets. Can we have a vote with the folks that are left online?
Yes.
Quickly.
Vote,
All right.
I vote to if we can get this approved, I vote. for that.
Can't hear you, Corey. You want to go through by ward, Laura? Or-
Yeah, let me pull up the, where did the roll call list go? I had it up and then I lost it. Okay. Ward 1, Fish, are you still online, Fish? No, I think he's dropped off. All right, Jamie was not here. Enid has dropped off. Tara, Ward 4.
Yes.
Thank you. India's not here. Corey, Ward 6.
Yes.
Ward 7 is me. I vote yes. Ward 8 is Jess. She's not here. At large 1 is Janet.
Yes.
At large, Pam. Did Pam drop off? Pam?
She's still listed. Is she?
She's still listed. Pam, are you there?
See if Grace is still on. Damn it.
Yes.
Great.
Okay, Grace.
Yes.
All right. Yes. Okay. How about Odessa?
Yes.
That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We need Pam. Pam. Oh, now she's dropped off, I think. Shoot, let me stop sharing my screen.
Mhm. Okay.
Did we lose her? Yes, we lost Pam. Oh, All right.
Okay, Laura, can you send that wording to each of the commissioners, and we as individuals could advocate that to our county council as
Okay.
as our own commission
Okay.
person?
Yes, I will.
Thank you.
All right. Darn, that was a lot of work and we didn't get there. All right. Thank you all for coming. I'm sorry to hold you up tonight to keep everybody late. But thank you all for your time. We appreciate it. Thank you for your support of public education in the Annapolis cluster. Have a good night. We'll see you all.
Make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Oh yeah.
Thank you, Laura, for everything you ran tonight. Much appreciated.
So Jane, is this your last meeting, Jane?
I will try and make the June one, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you
Fingers
for
crossed.
all your years of
To officially
service.
recognize you.
Thank you, Odessa. I appreciate that.
All right.
Been a pleasure
Bye-bye.
serving with you.
All right. Thank you all. Have a good night.